Walk onto any commercial job site today. You will see an absolute sea of red. That aggressive red plastic is everywhere you look. It sits in the hands of commercial plumbers and hangs from the heavy leather belts of union electricians. Milwaukee Tool is a massive financial juggernaut. They print billions of dollars. They completely dominate the professional cordless market. But they were not always the undisputed king of the trades. They started with a single demanding request from automotive pioneer Henry Ford. They survived a catastrophic factory fire that destroyed absolutely everything. They suffered through decades of corporate musical chairs. And along the way, they completely revolutionized how we build the modern world. The story begins at the dawn of the American automotive industry. World War I had just ended. Industrial manufacturing was booming across the country. Henry Ford was building his massive empire, and he desperately wanted to build cars much faster. He needed to increase productivity on his assembly lines. But Ford noticed a massive glaring inefficiency. The power drills his workers used were completely terrible. They were excessively large, incredibly heavy, and required two hands just to operate them. This slowed down production significantly. Ford reached out to a young tool and die manufacturer. His name was A.H. Petersen. He lived in Wisconsin and had a strong reputation for highly creative mechanical engineering. Ford gave him a very specific challenge to solve. He wanted a portable power drill with a 1/4 inch capacity, and it had to be extremely light. Petersen went to his workshop and delivered an absolute masterpiece that he called the hole shooter. The hole shooter changed everything for automotive manufacturing. It was powered by a series-type Westinghouse motor. It weighed only 5 pounds. That was drastically lighter than anything else on the market, allowing auto workers to operate it with one hand. This invention dramatically increased the efficiency of Ford assembly lines. It also set the foundation for a massive tool empire. Petersen knew he had a massive hit on his hands. He partnered with an experienced investor named Albert F. Siebert in 1922 to expand the business. Together, they formed the A.H. Petersen Company. Business was booming right out of the gate. Metal workers and mechanics absolutely loved the new drill. But tragedy struck the young company almost immediately when a devastating fire swept through their Milwaukee plant. The flames destroyed the entire facility in 1923. The fire consumed absolutely everything they had built. Machinery was reduced to melted slag. Blueprints were turned to ash. The financial loss was absolute and completely crushing. The company was forced straight into bankruptcy. Petersen walked away from the business entirely, leaving the ashes behind. Albert Siebert refused to let the dream die. He was determined to salvage the operation. He bought the remaining undamaged assets at a bank auction in 1924. With a renewed vision to prioritize longevity and professional standards, Siebert officially incorporated the Milwaukee Electric Tool Corporation. But the new company had almost zero capital. They could not afford to mass produce new tools. So Siebert made a brilliant strategic decision. Instead of building new products, he decided they would start by repairing broken tools. They fixed their own surviving models. They also repaired tools made by their competitors. They took apart broken drills from every major manufacturer. They analyzed burned-out motors and shattered gears. By repairing every broken tool they could find, Milwaukee engineers gained an intimate understanding of structural failure. They learned exactly why tools failed on the job. They saw the weak points in every single design. This hands-on research paid off massively. They redesigned the hole shooter to be much stronger and started building their own fractional horsepower motors. These motors lasted longer and required much less maintenance. The United States government noticed this incredible durability. Milwaukee secured a government equipment specification rating in 1930. This allowed the company to begin producing portable electric drills for the United States Navy. It gave them a massive edge over their rivals, and it ensured a steady stream of lucrative government contracts. As the 1930s progressed, Milwaukee expanded their product lines. They built electric sanders, polishers, and portable hand grinders. They developed a lightweight 3/4 inch electric hammer drill in 1935. Then World War II accelerated their growth even further, as the hole shooter became an essential tool for manufacturing military aircraft. The Navy remained one of their most loyal customers. After the war, Milwaukee continued to innovate. They introduced a spring clutch to their handheld tools in 1949. This created smoother operation and significantly reduced tool recoil for the user. That same year, they introduced their 1/2 inch right-angle drill. Electricians and plumbers loved it because it easily fit into impossibly tight spaces between wood studs. But one single product made Milwaukee a household name. They launched it in 1951. It was called the Sawzall. Recognized as the world's first portable electric reciprocating hacksaw, the Sawzall was an absolute marvel of mid-century mechanical engineering. Before the Sawzall, cutting through walls meant exhausting manual labor with a handsaw. The Sawzall changed the math entirely. The reciprocating mechanism utilized a mere 3 moving parts. This brilliant simplicity ensured incredible durability on the toughest job sites. Plumbers could instantly slice through old iron pipes. Electricians could notch thick wooden studs in seconds. With a 3/4-inch stroke, construction professionals could cut through almost anything. Milwaukee paired the tool with a full proprietary line of blades to maximize its versatility. As the post-war housing boom swept across America, the Sawzall became completely ubiquitous. Today, the name Sawzall is used generically for all reciprocating saws. It is their ultimate signature icon. The company grew rapidly throughout the next 2 decades. Founder Albert Siebert passed away in 1960, leaving behind a thriving industrial enterprise. The company moved to a massive new headquarters in Brookfield, Wisconsin, in 1965. They launched the whole hog in the 1970s to target electricians and plumbers. It was the very first power drill designed explicitly for large hole drilling between joists. They built their first facility outside of Wisconsin in 1974. Then the corporate acquisitions began. Milwaukee was no longer an independent family business. The Amstar Corporation bought them in 1976. Amstar was a massive conglomerate best known for Domino Sugar, which provided serious expansion capital. 10 years later, Amstar sold them to Merrill Lynch Capital Partners. Under private equity ownership, they launched the Super Sawzall and the Deep Cut Bandsaw. In 1995, a massive Swedish industrial manufacturer named Atlas Copco purchased the brand. This era brought international exposure, but it also brought serious problems. The power tool industry was heavily shifting toward battery power. Milwaukee introduced 18-volt contractor tools using nickel-cadmium batteries. But nickel-cadmium technology was inherently flawed and highly frustrating. The battery packs were incredibly heavy, suffered from terrible memory effects, and failed to provide sheer power. If a plumber tried to drill a large hole, the tool would simply stall out. Professional tradesmen simply refused to give up their reliable corded tools. By the early 2000s, Milwaukee had lost its focus. Executives admitted they were trying to be a brand for absolutely everyone. They forgot about the core mechanical and electrical trades that originally built their fierce reputation. But a massive revolution was quietly brewing in their research department. In 2005, a seismic shift occurred. A Hong Kong-based conglomerate called Tectronic Industries purchased Milwaukee Tool. They are better known as TTI. They bought the brand from Atlas Copco for $626 million. TTI had started as an original equipment manufacturer producing batteries for other brands. Now they own the absolute crown jewel of professional tools. That exact same year, Milwaukee completely disrupted the entire industry. They introduced the V28 system. It was the first line of cordless power tools, powered by lithium-ion batteries. Before this, lithium-ion technology was considered completely unstable for heavy construction. Early lithium batteries suffered from poor weather performance and very low cycle life. But Milwaukee engineers solved these complex issues through years of dedicated development. They filed vital patents for multi-cell packs capable of producing massive discharge currents. This was the holy grail of cordless tools. It meant a battery could deliver the massive torque needed to drive thick lag bolts without overheating. The V28 battery offered fade-free performance, more power, and significantly less weight than older batteries. It effectively sparked the global transition to a fully cordless job site. Shortly after the acquisition, Stephen P. Richmond became president of the company. His strategic vision was completely radical. He shifted Milwaukee from a simple manufacturer to a wraparound solutions provider for the trades. He leaned heavily into electrical engineering, custom software, and complex firmware. Richmond started running Milwaukee Tool exactly like a Silicon Valley tech firm, but massive success always breeds intense conflict. Milwaukee Tool's rapid ascent resulted in several high-profile legal battles and serious corporate controversies. It started with the lithium-ion patent wars. Because Milwaukee pioneered the use of lithium-ion technology in power tools, they held highly valuable intellectual property. Their patents covered multi-cell packs capable of a discharge current of 20 amps or greater. In October 2014, Milwaukee aggressively moved to protect this technology. They filed federal lawsuits against a sweeping list of major competitors. The hit list included Snap-on, Hilti, and the suppliers for Craftsman and Cobalt. They sought massive damages, strict injunctions, and hefty legal fees. They claimed that the entire industry's shift to lithium-ion effectively relied on Milwaukee's patented architecture. This aggressive litigation forced many competitors to settle out of court. Rivals had to alter their designs or enter into expensive licensing agreements. It completely solidified Milwaukee's technological supremacy in the battery space. But a much darker controversy emerged recently. It is the most severe ethical crisis in their modern history. It revolves around horrific allegations of forced labor in Chinese prisons. In late 2022, a public campaign alleged that Milwaukee Tool work gloves were being manufactured by prisoners. The claims centered on Petersen prison in China's Hunan province. Investigative reporting corroborated these terrifying claims. Former prisoners testified that they were forced to stitch Milwaukee Tool labels onto models like the Winter Demolition Glove. Prisoners reported being forced to work up to 13 hours a day. They earned the equivalent of just $1.41 to $42 a month. Regulatory filings linked Milwaukee's parent company to a supplier that allegedly subcontracted the work directly to the prison. The public backlash was immediate and fierce. Walmart pulled the implicated gloves from its marketplace and blocked future sales. In April 2024, United States Customs and Border Protection took drastic action. They issued a formal order to detain all imports of work gloves manufactured by the implicated supplier. They cited information that reasonably indicated the use of convict labor. 2 months later, a federal lawsuit was filed against Milwaukee Tool on behalf of a former prisoner. They sought compensation under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Milwaukee Tool has consistently denied all of the allegations. They issued statements claiming an internal investigation found absolutely no evidence to support the claims. Adding to their legal woes, the company faced intense scrutiny regarding international trade laws. Customs and Border Protection initiated a massive investigation. They examined whether TTI was engaging in illegal transshipment. They suspected the company was routing Chinese-manufactured products through Taiwan to unlawfully evade United States tariffs. This is a practice known as transshipment, and it is highly illegal. Commercial data highlighted very suspicious metrics. Roughly $30 million of imports came from a supplier in Taiwan. Yet TTI possessed zero manufacturing presence in Taiwan. The investigation officially concluded with a formal enforcement action. Ironically, Milwaukee Tool filed a lawsuit against the government at the exact same time. They argued that the tariffs were unconstitutional and caused direct financial harm to their business. Despite the controversies, Milwaukee Tool entered a decade of explosive and unprecedented growth. Between 2010 and 2024, they recorded double-digit annual sales growth almost every single year. The strategy was built on distinct battery platforms. They introduced the M12 and M18 systems. Rather than forcing users to buy new batteries for every tool, Milwaukee promised strict platform compatibility. This created a highly profitable locked-in ecosystem for loyal users. They launched red lithium technology in 2010. It offered enhanced weather resistance and massive cycle life. Then came the M18 fuel sub-brand in 2012. It integrated red lithium batteries with power state brushless motors and incredibly smart software. M18. Fuel allowed cordless tools to finally match and exceed the performance of corded tools. They even moved beyond traditional power tools entirely. They revolutionized tool storage with the Packout modular system in 2018. Before Packout, tradesmen lugged mismatched bags and buckets onto the site. Packout introduced a brilliant interlocking cleat system. Users could stack rolling boxes, organizers, and tool bags into one single tower. It quickly became an absolute industry standard on every major job site. In 2020, they launched the heavy-duty MX Fuel system. This brought lithium-ion power to massive heavy equipment like jackhammers, concrete core drills, and light towers. It replaced noisy gas generators entirely. It eliminated pulling cords, mixing gas, and choking on exhaust fumes indoors. Today, the M18 system alone features over 250 tools. The subcompact M12 system features over 150 tools. They integrate Bluetooth technology and advanced inventory management directly into their tools. Contractors can track tool locations and digitally lock stolen tools from a simple smartphone app. Financially, Milwaukee Tool is an absolute global juggernaut today. In 2024, the brand generated approximately $9.9 billion in massive revenue. They account for the vast majority of TTI's global revenue. While their supply chain is a complex global web, they still maintain a robust presence in America. They operate massive factories in China, Vietnam, Mexico, and Germany. But their global headquarters remains firmly in Brookfield, Wisconsin. They recently invested over $200 million in Wisconsin research and development facilities. They also operate large manufacturing and service hubs in Mississippi and Indiana. The history of Milwaukee Tool is a brilliant narrative of survival and relentless adaptation. They were born from a direct request by automotive pioneer Henry Ford. They were nearly destroyed by a catastrophic factory fire, and they were shaped by decades of providing heavy-duty equipment to the United States Navy. Today, the cultural perception of the brand is overwhelmingly positive. They completely dominate the heavy-duty professional market. Mechanics absolutely favor their stubby impact wrenches to access tight engine bays. Plumbers and electricians rely heavily on their specialized right-angle drills. They foster deep brand loyalty and lean heavily into a rugged blue-collar aesthetic. From the 1951 Sawzall to the modern lithium-ion revolution, they have continually redefined the tools used to build the world. Their transition from a traditional American metal-bending company to a digitally integrated global powerhouse is incredible. They are the undisputed king of the modern job site, and they show absolutely zero signs of slowing down.